Hey, what's up, everybody? Today, coming to you from Tampa. Cool subject today. This is kind of a beginner tips and tricks and ways of getting comfortable with playing bar chords if it's something that's new to you. Because everybody who's tried them before for the first time, or even people who have been playing for a long time, know that that was a hard step to get through. So this is just going to be a look at the four what I would call like main bar chord shapes that you absolutely must know, and some tricks of like ways to see them a little bit better, which might make them easier to play. So let's check it out. Okay, so the first shapes that we're going to look at for these bar chords are the ones based off of the low E string. So for example, this will be our first shape. This is an A major bar chord. And the thing is, this is a major bar chord no matter where you put it, and whatever this top root note is on the low E string, that is what chord you're playing. So if this is an A, this will be an A bar chord. If this is an F, this will be an F bar chord, but the shape never changes. So some general ideas. You definitely want to make sure that you're on the tips of the fingers as much as you can be with all the fingers other than the actual bar that we're laying across the strings, hence the name bar chord. But other than just showing you to be up on the tips of your fingers and drawing out a shape for you, the key thing is to kind of see where this chord actually comes from, because all these bar chords are really open position chords that you might have seen and played before already, and we're just kind of changing the fingers up a little bit. So like if you notice, if I move this bar chord down fret by fret to when I run out of frets, right, it's like an imaginary fret here. If you look at what's left over, it's really just an E chord, an open E, regular standard open E chord. But the trick is, if you take this standard open E chord and replace the fingers so that the first finger is available. So instead of using fingers 1, 2, and 3, we do the same exact shape with 2, 3, and 4. So if you can learn to play your open chords with this altered set of fingers instead of the standard way that we normally would, this is now a shape that if I can go to any other fret and put that shape down, which at some frets actually happens to sound nice, like this one. Now the trick is to just make sure that this stays put, doesn't get adjusted. All these strings have to stay clean. Don't let the bottom parts of your fingers touch the string below or above. And you just have to now get that bar onto the fret behind all of that without accidentally flattening or losing any of these other notes. And then you have your A bar chord, which really just came from an open E shape. So when a lot of people try these bar chords for the first time, they don't always necessarily think to go and just relearn your open chords with a different set of fingers. But that's kind of the theme here, is we're going to take chords you've probably seen already, most likely, maybe not, and then change the fingers so that the first finger is free. Then slide somewhere else. See if you can keep it clean, even if it sounds a little funny, depending on the fret, it will. And then we want to get this bar nice and flat across the strings. And then we have our chord. Beyond that, it's just really knowing what fret, or what note each fret is, so that you know what chord you're playing. You have to know this is F to know that this is F. You have to know that this is G to know that this is G. This is A. It's an A chord. So that's the idea behind that low E string major bar chord. It's based off of an open E chord. Now, if we stay on this low E string and talk about the minor chord, just like we originally took an open E chord and swapped out the fingers, we're now going to think of an open E minor chord, which maybe you've played with these fingers, maybe you've played it with these fingers, but we're going to take the same approach as before. This was our E chord. We're gonna get rid of this and use these fingers. So you want to be able to grab an open E minor chord with your third finger on the 2nd fret A string and your pinky on the 2nd fret D string. So if you were playing open E, that's probably not the choice of fingers you would normally go to, but if you can grab that shape comfortably, let's say over here instead, now the last step is to add this bar in. So we see if these are clean, even if it sounds funny. All the notes are clean, nothing's missing. So we try to add this in, flat, nice all the way across, and as close to the fret as you can without being right on top of it. And now we have, this is A, so this is an A minor bar chord. So you can see it's a very small difference between minor and major. Just like over here, E major, E minor. So those are the home base, super important starter low E bar chords to try. If that starts to feel good, we would then move to the other two, which are based off of the A string. So it's going to be the same kind of thing. If we go to, let's say, C on the A string and we put a bar chord there, it's going to be a C bar chord. So when we play a major bar chord on this A string, it's based off of an open A chord. So if you've ever played an open A chord, maybe you use these fingers, maybe you use these fingers, maybe you've done it like this, just playing the middle 4 strings. But the point is, regardless, that shape, whichever way you choose to do it, that's what has to move somewhere else and then add the bar in. So typically, the way you'd see most people play that bar chord is to treat it more like this, where you just play the middle 4 strings. If you do this bar instead of using fingers, you don't want to play the high E, because that adds a note that's technically not part of the chord. It would make it an A major 6, which is a nice chord, but it's a different chord. So we're going to take this bar method, middle 4 strings, but we're going to use our third finger instead. So open A, 2nd fret D string, 2nd fret G string, 2nd fret B string, no high E, no low E. Now this is the shape that we would move somewhere else. And then, even though this looks like a hefty bar, and it is, I'm flattening across the strings, but keep in mind the only note it actually has to play is this one. So technically you don't have to bar it. You could have it arched up, but there's no reason to. It kind of just makes it harder. So we're taking this open A, third finger, move it somewhere else, add in this note. This is a C, so this is a C major chord. This is a D, so this is a D major chord. D sharp, E, F. So any chord we need that's major. And to continue to go to the minor on the A string, on the A string to do a minor bar chord, we need an open A minor chord. So probably you've played this before, maybe not, but this is your open A minor, no low E, right, just from the A string. And it's the same idea, just like we did before when we had an E chord, which looks like the same shape just about. We got rid of this finger by swapping these, right? So we're going to take this A minor chord, do the same thing. Instead of 1, 2, and 3, we're going to make it 2, 3, and 4. And now we have that same open A minor chord. That's the shape that you have to be able to grab. Let's say over here, for example. It might sound funny, but if you can grab that shape and get that low note in here by flattening this across for the bar, you now have your, in this case, D minor chord. So all together, right, we had an open E shape, an open E minor shape, an open A minor shape, an open A shape, which we did it this way and changed it to this. But just to continue that a little longer, if you want to try and challenge yourself a little bit, the other option here is when we do it this way, it's just the middle 4 strings, no matter where you move it. However, if we do the open A this way, we can now put that high E and have a 5-string major chord. So this would be the hardest way to do it, but good for practice. So if we take this open A, if we can grab that somewhere else, let's say here, it's a little tight to grab all those fingers in. Now bar, and make sure we get this note and this note on the A string and the E string. We now have a 5-string major bar chord on the A string that we can grab. So you have the option when you do this A string major chord of doing this one. I like to call it the flap chord because it kind of just flaps down, or to actually stack all these fingers up and then finish with the bar. So 4 types: 2 majors, 1 on the E, 1 on the A, 2 minors, 1 on the E, 1 on the A. If you can get those to feel really comfortable, it will change your chord playing abilities dramatically, and also help with future chords, bigger and more interesting chords, which are really just, once you can do those bar chords, all the others are not as brutal to do. So give it a shot.